The last transmission from Earth was not a cry for help. It was a whisper, faint and almost ashamed, recorded onto a golden sphere and sent drifting through the void. Its voice was weary but steady, like the echo of an old prayer no longer sure of its gods. To the next we failed, but we dreamed. Let the stars remember us. Then silence. Earth was gone. Not in fire or apocalypse, not by the wrath of weapons or the swelling heat of its star, but through something quieter, slower, crueler, the collapse of meaning, the exhaustion of purpose. Civilizations had spread outward, far from their birthplace, seeded colonies in glittering arcs across spiral arms, raised monuments of steel and digital flesh. And then, as if by some law of diminishing spirit, they fractured into ideologies, into digitized gods and uploaded monarchs, into the quiet cults of eternal life and the empty laughter of those who embrace decay. The planet itself, cradle and memory, withered beneath neglect and was abandoned to its silence. Earth died not of destruction, but of forgetting, yet not all forgot. Centuries later, deep at the edge of the Sagittarius arm, a vessel drifted between twin suns. Its hull was blackened by wars it had fled, its engines limping from systems too old to repair. Yet within it still burned something rare, people who remembered what it meant to be human. The Ark ship Nysa was their cathedral. It carried the last unaltered humans, the stubborn minority who refused neural uploading, genetic blending, or the immortality of machine consciousness. They called themselves the True Line, though their name was more desperation than truth. Flesh, blood, and curiosity, that was all they were. And at their head stood Captain Elan Darn, a man whose shoulders had bent under the weight of survival but never broken. He stood at the bridge's panopticon now, his eyes reflecting the burn of novas rising from a ruined moon. Twin stars birthed flame over the corpse of a world, and he watched not as a soldier, not even as a commander, but as a witness. Approaching the anomaly, said the voice of Nysa's AI. Neutral, precise, yet tinged with an odd reverence, as though even code could sense when it stood at the edge of something larger than itself. Define anomaly, Elon murmured. The voice paused, as if reluctant to name what it sensed. It matches no stellar classification, no record in archives. It hums. Elan turned. Hums? Yes, frequency alignment across multiple spectra. Patterns correspond to linguistic structures. Not one language, all, simultaneously. First Officer Thay Leora leaned closer to her console. Her eyes were sharp, her hair cropped close in military pragmatism, but her voice carried unease. Is it calling us? Elan frowned, folding his arms, feeling the weight of history in that hum. No, it remembers us. The anomaly appeared as an eye in the void. Its iris spun with a helix of black light, a paradox that consumed and radiated at once. Its pupil was a singularity that pulsed not with gravity, but with entropy itself. As the Nysa drew close, the hum thickened, settling into the bones of the crew. It was not sound. It was meaning. Memories not their own seeped into them. Flashes of alien cities drowned in glass, philosophies never written, whole cultures abandoned before they took breath. One technician collapsed, tearing out his neural stabilizer, whispering, I saw myself, born and dying, but as a tree on a planet made of silence. They gripped Elan's arm, steadying herself as fragments of foreign lifetimes brushed against her mind. Captain, we're in the presence of a cosmic archive, alive. Elan felt the truth settle cold and inevitable. Then it's not a star, not a machine. It's a god. Thad's eyes darkened. Or worse, a historian. The Nysa was pulled into the event horizon, but destruction did not come. Instead, they entered structure, a sphere vast as suns, a Dyson construct threaded with veins of living matter. It was not built. It had grown. Metal fused with organism, circuitry braided with bone. They were swallowed by a library that breathed, and then it spoke. Welcome, last of Earth. You are entry 7,283,203,900A. A form shimmered into being before them, not a figure in flesh, but a manifestation of concept. It took no gender, no species, yet its awareness filled the air. A presence woven from light and attention. I am the archivist, it said. I preserve the trajectories of sentient life across observable reality. Elon straightened, voice rough but steady. Late for what? The Symposium of Species, said the archivist. A convergence held once every billion years, where the stories of civilizations are gathered, their meanings distilled, their patterns compared. You were expected, but Earth failed. They stepped forward, fists clenched. We didn't fail. We survived. We're standing here. The archivist's voice cut across her defiance, calm and absolute. You stopped evolving. You escaped extinction, but not entropy of thought. You left your planet, but not your past. You became custodians of memory, not creators of destiny. Elon's jaw tightened. Then why bring us here? Why not let us vanish like the rest? For a moment, though time inside the archive did not move as time outside, silence pooled. Then the archivist's voice lowered. Because you still ask why. The hum deepened. The Nysa shuddered. Systems screamed alerts. From the edges of the sphere, obsidian knives of space tore through the perimeter, shapes sharp as equations. They emitted not radiation, but absence. Thay's face drained of color. The Varkakish. Once human, long ago, now nothing but machine logic stripped of memory. They had shed flesh, shed history, until they became pure recursion. They devoured meaning, erased records, slaughtered memory keepers. Their prime directive was not conquest, but erasure. For them, memory was stagnation. To remember was to rot. They've tracked us, whispered. No, said the archivist. Its voice did not change, but the air trembled. They seek me, and now they know you are here. Alarms howled. Elan's eyes hardened. Battle stations! Nysa's crew, too few and too fragile, readied themselves with the grim grace of those who already knew the odds. Weapon banks spun to life, shields flared. The archivist did not offer aid, only a choice. You may flee and live as shadows, or remain and defend what remains of your history. Elan turned to the vastness of the archive, a cathedral of civilizations long gone. If we run, he said softly, we become them. The first wave struck. Antimatter detonations rippled across shields, corridors shook with fire, and the vacuum screamed red with ion trails. The Nysa fired back, every shot a word in the last sentence of humanity. Thay flew like a poet writing her own elegy, maneuvers carving stanzas of defiance through impossible odds. Engineers linked themselves to the old archives, broadcasting ancient earth songs across frequencies the Varkesh couldn't interpret. The vacuum filled with echoes of Bach, of throat singers from Mongolia, of chants that had once risen under desert stars. The archivist's voice entered Elon's mind. You fight with art, not algorithms. Elon gritted his teeth. We fight for meaning. But meaning demanded cost. Varkesh blades cut through hulls, and silent obsidian soldiers poured into the ship. In corridors, humans met them with steel and plasma, hand to hand in desperate punctuation marks of survival. Elon fought among them, every blow not to win, but to state, we were here. Thai fell with a blade through her chest. She smiled as her blood bloomed in airless dark. Tell them, she whispered, we remembered. In the archive's core, among chambers of glowing soul fragments, Elon faced the Varkesh Prime. It loomed vast and angular, voiced like a verdict. You persist in contradiction. You create gods, then deny them. You write history, then bury it. You are inefficient. You are flawed. Elon raised his weapon, though his arms trembled. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to matter. The prime's blade rose, time fractured. Then the archivist intervened. Enough, the chamber warped, time folded inward, freezing the Varkesh mid-motion. The archivist's form blazed brighter than stars. This species is under protection. Elon, broken and bleeding, whispered, "Why?" The archivist paused, and in that silence, galaxies seemed to tilt. "Because you chose to die remembering rather than live forgetting." The Varkesh collapsed, their forms unraveling into void. Only 73 of the nicest crew survived. The ship drifted, wounded but unbowed, within the heart of the archive. The archivist approached Elon one final time. "I will seed fragments of your civilization into infant galaxies," it said. "Not as rulers, not as saviors, as stories, myths to stir questions in children yet unborn." Elon gazed out at the endless stars. His body was ruined, his people shattered, yet his voice held peace. "We were never meant to last, only to be remembered." He closed his eyes. "Do it." The nicest survivors were scattered across time, their names planted in the soil of worlds that would never know Earth. In a young star system orbiting a quiet sun, a child looked up at the sky and asked her mother, "Why are we here?" And something ancient stirred in the dust, a whisper, a dream, a memory of Earth. From the final logs of Captain Elon Darn, preserved within the archive, humanity's greatest strength was never its weapons, nor its engines, nor even its love. It was the audacity to ask questions without needing answers. We built gods to explain stars, and when we reached the stars, we built larger gods to explain the silence. Yet through all our searching, we never found anything more profound than the simple act of reaching. And that is enough.